Hello everybody, we are going to talk about 3 weird objects between the Sphinx's paws that you probably haven't heard about. For this video I draw upon the research of Robert Temple as found in The Sphinx Mystery. Object number 1, a weird altar. If you were to stand between the paws of the Sphinx, you are in shade from the searing sun, as well as a dramatic view of the face of the Sphinx and its feminine face. A perfect place for a pagan chapel dedicated to the goddess. Giovanni Battista Caviglia was a very enthusiastic explorer who turned his attentions to archaeology when he reached Egypt. Of course, it was as far back as 1818, and the proper archaeological controls were not yet enacted. He hired about 50 workers every day for 4 months until the Sphinx was cleared of sand down to the bedrock, the first such excavation since antiquity. What he discovered is revealed in this diagram. There is Greek writing on a column at the front. There is an altar which weirdly appears to be a Hebrew altar. One can tell this because of the strange peaks on the corners. How much of Giza was written out of the Moses story in the Old Testament when later Bible authors in Babylon simply forgot about the existence of Giza? Did something relating to the 10 Commandments once happen here? Was Moses himself based here? If we look at a photo from today, we see a strange pink rock in front of the Dream Stealer. Is it a replica of the Ark of the Covenant? What is this strange Jewish-looking altar doing here? Is it the altar? It has been chipped to pieces by craved souvenir hunters. But we can see recesses along the bottom, possibly for collecting blood during sacrifice, a kind of El or Baal worship perhaps. The colour of the stone of the altar was, I think, chosen to try to match the Dream Stealer, or the Dream Stealer tries to match the stone colour of the Hebrew Canaanite altar to make it more seamless. In his later career, Caviglia was hired by English archaeologist Colonel Vyse, a man determined to make a discovery in Egypt. Caviglia was employed in dynamiting up the interiors of the Khafre and Menkaure pyramids in the hunt for more passages, which Vyse was desperate to find. Suddenly, he was fired and essentially stopped from doing any further work. He spent his final days in Paris. Some say that Colonel Vyse himself forged the name of Khufu, found in red paint, in the small chambers above the king's chamber. He then allegedly fired and banished the witnesses who objected to what he had done. Object number 2. There are 2 small sphinxes which appear to have lion heads guarding the first entrance, and then another 3 at the second entrance before one gets to the back of the chapel. Where are they today? No other diagrams record them. They have gone missing soon after their excavation. The illustration would suggest the Greco-Romans, who may have carved these, considered the Sphinx as a kind of lion, a lioness perhaps. Is this something to do with the Lion of Judah of the House of David? The diagram would also indicate that the famous Dream Stealer of Thutmosis was known about in Greek colonized Egypt in the time of Alexander and venerated as a kind of holy of holies in this chapel, as it is at the back of this chapel. And aside from the altar, it was not molested in any way until modern times. Something else is badly wrong about this image, which no one ever mentions. It is that there were 2 more Dream Stelae adjacent to the rear Dream Stealer in 1818. So we only managed to get a third of the inscription about the Sphinx before the other 2 vanished. Object number 3. There was actually a grand staircase descending into the Sphinx moat or pit, descending down to the area between the paws. This has been entirely demolished in the 20th century in order to get down to the Sphinx temple underneath this. The assumption is therefore that the classical era, lacking archaeology as a discipline, we think, instead there were antiquarians who maybe merely occasionally did a little digging, were unaware of the existence of the Sphinx temple, plastering a grand staircase on top. The staircase is Roman, and underneath is a smaller staircase, presumably a Greek one. If the staircase was expanded by the Romans, it speaks of increasing pilgrimage and ritual taking place around the Sphinx in Roman times, where it was seen as a kind of goddess. I think it was used as a fertility temple in this time. As soon as the Dream Stealer at the back was uncovered in modern times, locals began to chip it apart, taking away souvenirs, some say as a fertility charm. I hope you've enjoyed this, guys. The Sphinx area has changed dramatically over time. It will change again. Catch you soon. Check out my book, my Patreon. I hope you've enjoyed this. Catch you next time.